All right. Well, it looks like the first wave has arrived. Oh wait, here we go. A couple more people. Is that Isadora? Hi.
I know that person.
Yes, of course you
Hi.
do. Did you know you were both going to be in the Zoom room this afternoon? No? I did, but I forgot to mention that. All right. Okay, well, welcome everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started. And then if other people trickle in, they can trickle in as they do. My name is Jessa Harger, and I work in the admission office here at the Putney School. I recognize some of you, Lillian and Isadora, and others of you are likely working with Brian or Michael or John. So we're very glad that everybody's here today. And we have a handful of current Putney students here. If you guys want to wave, that'd be cool. And they are going to talk to you about living at Putney. Obviously, boarding school is different than a day school because you live at school. And Putney, things are even a little bit more different, in part because of the leadership that Putney affords its students. Um, and also because we have this really cool program where students can live in cabins when they're a senior. So Sophie will tell us a little bit about that. So if we start, we'll start perhaps with Miles. You can introduce yourself. We'll have all of the current students introduce themselves. They'll tell you um, what grade they're in, how long they've been at Putney, where home is, and what they do at Putney as far as their leadership position, and perhaps talk briefly about their leadership position. And then I'll probe them a bit to get talking about what it's like living in the dorms and whatnot, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. If you've got questions at any point, you can drop them into the chat, and we'll get your questions answered. So, Miles, do you want to start?
Yes. I'm Miles. I've been at Putney for 3 years. I'm a junior. Um, I'm from New York City, and I'm the student head of dorms with Jaden. Um, and basically, what we do is we basically make the living environment of living in dorms as comfortable and the best experience for everyone. So we monitor the uh, dorm heads, which are in each dorm, to solve conflicts and to help everyone get situated and oriented in their new living space. We also work with the dorm budget with helping make the dorms better living environments. And then we also organize like events and stuff to keep the students busy and having things to do. Jaden can elaborate on that.
Jaden, why don't you go next?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jaden. I'm a senior from Rhode Island. So along with administration, we're also the liaison between both the residents, the dorm heads, and the administration. So we work directly along primarily the dean of students and the associate dean of students. And we also meet with our dorm heads in something called dorm committee meeting, which is basically everyone that has something to do with dorms meets together and we discuss any issues or ideas that are happening. Um, we also run a really fun thing called Dorm Olympics during the winter trimester, which is basically a friendly competition between dorms to see who can get the most points and win a pizza party at the end.
Nice. Let's see. Jason is a dorm head. So if you want to introduce yourself and go off of a little bit about what being a dorm head is like and how that's different from student head of dorms.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jason. I am from New York City. Uh, I is my third year at Putney. I am a junior along with Miles, and next year we're going to be 4-year seniors. Um, and I am both a dorm head along with Jaden in one of the school's gender neutral dorms, and I am also spectrum leader, co-spectrum leader with my friend Jonas Rice. So
Can you tell us what Spectrum is real quick?
Spectrum is the school's, well, I guess like a good term for it would be Gender Sexuality Alliance. It's like an LGBTQ plus affinity group. And we've been pretty digital lately, but usually we have like events and a lot of snacks and meetings weekly. As a dorm head, I'm basically like if Miles and Jaden are like the overseers, and they're giving out instructions to all the dorm heads and like giving us like general ideas to work with. We're like the more ground workers of that, where we take those instructions and we get to know each of our residents personally, and so that way we're more connected with the dorm and we have better understanding of how to resolve conflicts that are on a smaller level. Like if someone wanted to move dorms, that would probably be not necessarily a dorm head issue, but if there was a roommate conflict, then that might be a dorm head issue. It's and also we have to we I don't know how to say, not organized, but we run dorm clean, which is COVID protocol, but also just cleaning your dorm, where basically every night we do a full sanitation of our dorms and like bathrooms, hallways, everything, and we run that.
Nice. Awesome. Sophie, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the cabin program?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Sophie. I'm a four-year senior from Massachusetts, and I lived in various dorms at Putney for my first 3 years, and now I live in one of 5 cabins on campus. And so the cabin program you may have heard some about, but it's one of the very unique parts of Putney. There are 5 cabins scattered across campus, and at the end of your junior year, you can apply to live in one with one other person. And they're affiliated with the dorms, so you can like shower and do laundry in a place with a shower and laundry. But the cabins themselves are solar powered, so they have some electricity. Ours lasts about 2 hours. And they're heated with a wood stove. So you do wood screw, which is an afternoon activity. So you chop a lot of wood, you bring that in, and then you make lots of fires to keep you warm. And yeah, I live in Gray House Cabin, which is affiliated with the dorm Gray House. It's kind of across the pastures at the edge of campus, and I live there with my friend Noah, who was actually my roommate for the past 3 years as well.
And Sophie's view out of the cabin is probably one of the best views on campus, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Let's see. So let's open it up for questions. Do any of you have any questions right away? No? Okay. So here's my question for you guys, and whoever is interested in answering can answer. What do the weekends look like at Putney? Yeah, Miles.
Well, on most years, we have a half day on Saturdays because we have half days on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
That's cool.
Yeah, of classes. So you'd basically start your weekend with only 2 classes in the morning, and then by the end, hypothetically, non-COVID protocols, right? COVID's gone. We would have like Putney shuttles and stuff, which you'd go to town on like a bus and be able to go get food and whatnot at the co-op or the general store. And then there are like on-campus activities, which can be like sometimes there's soccer games that we put on. Sometimes there's things in our just like gym of dodgeball or whatnot. So like student run activities and also teacher run activities. And then on Sundays, there's usually trips to like out of town, where we go to bigger towns and travel places where you can just like do whatever with friends and hang out. But with COVID, it's a lot more of just the on-campus activities since we're locked down on campus. But we do have the full weekend and not a half day on Saturdays. So it's a lot of just that student run activity and hanging out with friends and that kind of thing.
Nice. Jaden, what has been your favorite weekend activity that you've ever participated in?
Okay, so way back in my junior year, there was a trip to Holyoke Mall, and it was during a 3-day break. So I went over to Holyoke, and and just me and my friend Colin blew around like more money than we should have on just playing arcade games, and it was so much fun. And that has to be one of my favorite trips of all time. Or going to see Studio 8's film at the theater down in Brattleboro.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, from what I remember.
What
So
is Studio 8?
Studio 8 is a student-run studio that was made by, if I can remember correctly, Sherlyn, um,
Stephen.
Steven,
Some
I
former students
former students.
or
I haven't
current
seen them in
seniors.
so long. And they make these really cool movies. And last year we got to see one in there. They got to do a showing in a theater, and the school went down and saw it, and it was a really amazing film. It was a documentary of a province in China, and it was really cool just to watch.
Yeah, and fun for them to be able to show their work in a large movie theater, right? Let's see, Jason, what's been your favorite weekend activity that you've ever participated in?
Mm, I don't know. I have a very vivid memory of my freshman year. We played sardines, which is like tag, but when the tagger finds like a person, like everyone's hiding and there's one tagger, but then like you have to when you find the person, you stay with them. And it's it's like a weird game, but we played it in this our giant um, joint assembly hall and gallery building called Calder Hall and Courier Center. Um, and I just remember like it was my first time like actually interacting with any upperclassmen like outside of a classroom setting. So it was like me and a couple freshmen I was close with, and then like this one senior girl, Elizabeth, who loved to just like include us in everything, and she was so sweet. And some of her friends, and um, I just remember that that's how I learned the what the building looked like is by hiding behind a curtain in the theater part of it for like half an hour.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Is this Elizabeth Vesselborg?
Sheldon Brown.
Oh, of course, of course. Wonderful. All right. Are any questions coming up from our visitors?
Yeah, I have a question. Um, I'm wondering on the weekends, like when you're allowed to go to town, are you allowed to like have visitors come and see you from like the city or like your family or friends or anything? Or is it like only specific times?
Jaden?
So the visitor policy at Putney, well, currently because of COVID doesn't really exist, but before in post-COVID times, the way it works is if you can actually have friends stay night on campus if you get, but you have to get permission from your roommate and your dorm parents as well as their parents and your parents, and they have to be under 18 as well as depending on what your dorm is fitting to that gender. Um, however, if you meet a friend outside, like during a trip like that, that's perfectly fine. We've had students do that before. Just I would make it known that you're going to meet somebody there, and so that way the teachers just know. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much set. You can do it.
Yeah, Miles, you want to add to that?
You can also sign out on weekends. There's like a little sheet where you can just sign out, tell where you're going, when you left, and then when you plan to return, and your phone number. And then basically you can leave campus with someone and go off and do your own thing as long as you return by the time.
Can
So that
you
would be someone like your parents?
Yeah, you can go off with your parents. I've had times where I just go and eat
can
like a meal with them.
can you leave for like a night? Like if not with friends, but if like you have if like parents or something?
Yeah, it's a little more, it's less flexible. You'd have to talk to your dorm parents and then also like the dean of students.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
But yeah, you can leave
There's
it.
an easy fill form for it.
Yeah.
It just has to go through multiple people.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks, guys. So, can you talk a little bit about what your relationship is like with your dorm parents? Yeah, Jason?
Well, my relationship is a little different than most people's because I'm a dorm head, but in Old Boys, me and Jaden's dorm, which is an all gender dorm, really fun. We have uh, not one but two new faculty members as our dorm parents, which is great. Those are the two that actually live in the same building as us. So some of your dorm parents like live in your building, and some live like either somewhere else on campus or off campus and just come and watch you for the night. Like check you in, make sure you're alive at 9:30, and then wait for you to do your dorm jobs, give you your meds maybe if you have nighttime meds, and then they'll go home. But there are some dorm heads who live in the same building as you. They have their own apartments. They're not like in dorms, but uh, ours are Kimberly and Katie, and they're partners. And I adore them. I love them so much. They're so sweet, and I think that it's just so great watching like everyone sort of transition into the Putney environment, because I found that um, even my like adult dorm parents like steps into understanding Putney community were super similar to how the two freshmen in my dorm were doing it too. And they both started talking to us more as our two freshmen did. And it's like everything is kind of like everyone takes the same steps, and there's always going to be like new people in places. But it's really nice because now we all like, I love Katie so much. She's so sweet. But like I love all the new people, and I don't even think of them as new anymore because I've just lived with them for like 3 months. I love them. I love them so much.
That's awesome to hear. Have you told them that? Good.
To add on to that, they're also very supportive of us, as well as like we feel comfortable enough to approach them and talk to them about anything we would need. They're also just, I mean, my experience with, I've lived in two dorms, so my second year in Old Boys, and like most of the dorm parents that I've experienced are really really supporting, and they're always there to like talk to you if you need to talk to them. And they're just really great all around, honestly.
Nice. Yeah, Sophie.
Just one thing to add, they also like just like get stuff for you and do stuff for you. One of mine, Jen, she's also a college counselor, so that was really nice because she helped me with my essays a lot at night when we were there. But also she like got me a lantern for the cabin, which is like a niche request, but like they'll get you other things too. And my other dorm head, Allison, is like taking care of my plants over break. And my other dorm head, Abby, moved all the stuff I forgot in the cabin out so it wouldn't get eaten by mice. So they're all good. Yeah.
I love that. So we've got a question. What does the first day look like for boarders at Putney? Yeah, Jason.
So much unpacking, so much. I suggest whatever you think you need, um, downsize it by 25%. It's just going to be, it's just, that's what's going to happen. You don't need as much shirts as you think you need. You do need more socks than you think you need, but you don't need as many shirts. There is so much unpacking. If you're like me and you love just putting random things up on your wall, there's a lot of taping and all that. Like, there's a lot of unpacking. And if you're new, there's a lot of getting acquainted with your roommate. I recommend waiting to like ask someone if they're going to like, I did this my freshman year at least, but like waiting to see when your roommate's going to arrive and then making like who wants which side, like some people reconfigure their rooms. You can move. Fun thing about the beds we have at Putney is a lot of them you can lift them or lower them. So you can make loft beds or you can make like really low beds, though I would not recommend that. But there's so much unpacking. There's like even if you bring nothing, there's a lot of unpacking to do.
So can you guys talk a little bit about like what that first few days looks like in that first bit, Sophie?
Yeah. So student leaders, who are basically any returning student with a leadership position, come a few days earlier and plan orientation, which a lot of people jokingly would call disorientation because it's usually kind of overwhelming and you don't actually get oriented in those days. But the goal of it is to kind of give everyone an introduction to the locations on campus. Like, you get walked around to where you have your classes. Maybe you can meet your upperclassman mentor, who is kind of there to mentor you and just get to know you first. Usually a lot of dorm-based events and then a lot of other events, so you aren't like wandering around awkwardly for the first day. I'd say it's usually a nice balance. Like, there's as little or as much as you want to be involved in, but it is a busy first few days.
And then
Yeah.
what happens after that?
Then, usually long fall, which is a series of camping trips, canoeing, hiking, rock climbing, and you're divided randomly into groups of about 10 students from varying grades, new and returning, with like 2 faculty members. And you go and I'd say that's more orienting than orientation. So because you get to know this nice little pod of people who you have when you get back. So my first year I went rock climbing. It's always fun. And that's for like 4 or 5 days. Then you come back and you start school.
Nice. So you're actually at school for it must be about 6 or 7 days before classes actually start.
Yeah.
So there's another question here. Is there a certain time you have to check in to the dorm, and is there lights out? Miles?
So there are 2 check-ins. There's 7:30 check-in. It's from 7 to 7:30. And basically that's when you just like say, "Hey, I'm alive. I exist." And then you go off and you can do evening activities, which has that been gone over before? Should I just
Possibly. You might as well explain it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Basically it's like you sign up for evening activities. It's usually like an art of some sort. So like twice a week normally you go and you do this activity for an hour and a half, and it can be things like blacksmithing, pottery, acting is what me and Jason do, and it's a ton of just like fun activities. So yeah. So you can either do that after the check-in, or you can just go and study. It's usually just like a study time. And then at 9:30 now, but usually 10. You check in finally, and you have to stay in your dorm after that point. On weekends, though, what is it, Saturday nights, it's 11. But on normal days, it's 10. And you check in, and then you just stay. For freshmen and new sophomores, I think it is, the lights out time, like a time you have to be in your room, is 10:30 on weekdays. And then after that, you like after your freshman year or your first sophomore year, you can just be in the common room, but you should be normally settling down by 10:30, 11 on weekdays.
And how about the internet?
Internet shuts off at 11:25-ish. It kind of changes from day to day, but it's normally around that time it turns off, so that you're not up all night on the internet doing stuff. But on weekends, as I said, it stays on all night, so it's not really a problem.
Nice. Here's a good question. What are some Putney traditions? Jason, your eyes just lit up.
I'm thinking of Freaky Juice, but yeah. Okay, I'm just
Tell
gonna
us what you can tell us about Freaky Juice.
Okay. Okay. So when you're at Putney, classroom parties. When you're at Putney, there's like an aspect of it which is you're not having a normal American high school experience that would be like parties on the weekend, like going to someone's house and like just like doing stuff there. So we have events, such as like we have like weekend events, right? And we have events that happen every year, that are student planned and for students, like really for students. One of them is Freaky Juice. Freaky Juice is exactly what it sounds like. Actually, no, nothing could ever sound like what Freaky Juice is. It's like it's planned by seniors, and the seniors will make an announcement in assembly, and there's some student made a bike that had a bike powered blender. So they'll gather random ingredients, put it in the blender, blend it, and that is the Freaky Juice. So, and then they'll send out to the school email community comments, they'll send out this email and they'll be like, here's the clue for the location of Freaky Juice, and you have to figure it out. And so then like usually that night or the next night, there's a party, like just it's just music and like, like dancing, and wherever this location is on campus. And it's like one of the first major like student run and student planned like events that happens in the year. Usually it's in like September, and it's open to everyone. And we didn't have it this year because COVID, not safe to have parties. And we also have classroom parties, which were usually sponsored by like different students or different leadership groups like SUSTI or Spectrum or Diversity Committee. Committee?
And SETSI is the sustainability group.
Yeah, SUSTI is sustainability. And those are obviously like, in classrooms. And so they're themed and they're contained to the classroom. And that's very fun. We've also got Snowball and
what is Snowball?
Snowball is our winter dance. It's themed. It's fun. Last year it was Roaring 20s. Yay. And this year we had a Halloween dance outside, socially distanced. And we've got Hughesby Prom, which is Hughesby is a dorm. It's a girls' dorm right next to the Art Center, and they host their prom, you know, but it's like in the middle of the year. It's like in January, and they just kind of like host a dance, and it's fun. And then we have what else? What else? We have one other thing. I'm just forgetting it.
Jaden, you know it?
We also have Harvest Fest,
Harvest Fest.
which essentially is in around October, like late October, mid-October. We have this big festival in which that's not just us, it's also the town of Putney. And it's basically just one big like I would say try to imagine, but I was about to use an example. There's like different booths in which you can buy food. There's games. There's a parade at one point. There's a little storefront that you can buy things from the community. There's an international cafe. There's a petting zoo from the animals in the barn. It's just like this fun little event. And then there's also Spring Carnival, which is basically just a Putney type thing, which is just the students. And this time there's like same stuff, but like there's cotton candy, there's a color race, there's a dunk tank. It's a lot of fun. Um, and there's also the spring dance, which has a name, but I'm forgetting. In which you have this big banquet outside on the hilltop, and then you go into just a dance, and it's really nice.
It's called Social. Let's see. Any other traditions that you can think of? Yeah, Sophie?
Sing, which
Sing.
didn't happen this year, which we're all very sad about, but that's where we usually come together as a community every Thursday morning, and we just sing a bunch of fun songs. And if you don't think you like singing before Putney, you'll probably have your mind changed. And if you do like singing, then that's good. You don't have to be good, but it still sounds good anyway, which is the fun part. And yeah, that didn't happen this year, but hopefully by the time some of you are here or already at Putney, it will come back.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Yeah, Miles, you got one?
I don't think any of us have participated in this yet, but there's card burning for the seniors.
Yes.
Which is like kind of like ending the year off, your senior year off,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I don't really know what happens at card burning because only seniors go, but that's a Putney tradition that happens.
Yeah, it's
where
the
they
last
burn
52
cards.
days of school. And so each night there's 52 cards in a deck of cards. And so for the last 52 nights of school, they go and have a card burning ceremony. So I also don't know. But all of you could possibly find out one day. So something to look forward to. Let's see. So it looks like Kiara's asking what are some of the dorms and what are they like? Jaden?
So the dorms, let's see if I can get them off the top of my head. We have Old Boys, which is the gender neutral dorm this year. It is around the center of campus. It's next to the library. There's Hughesby dorm, which is this big kind of ski lodge looking dorm that is which is an all girls dorm. And it's around 3 floors, and it's the biggest girls dorm we have on campus. Then we have New Boys, which is a girls dorm this year. It is a small two-story tall dorm that usually hosts the freshman girls, but this year it's more of a mix. And then we have Keefe dorm, which is at the bottom of a hill. It's an all boys dorm. It's 3 floors. It's the biggest boys dorm on campus. And it holds mostly the freshman boys, but also a whole. Miles is actually the dorm head of it. There's Noise, which is another boys dorm. It is a very small dorm, but it's very it looks very nice internally. It has this really cool fireplace. And it's 2 stories tall. And then we have the JR dorm, which is a gender neutral dorm. It is 2 stories, and it has these really cool top floor rooms that span the entire width of the building and have 2 windows on either side, and one overlooks the forest next to the puddle. and the other one overlooks the forest next to the pasture, sort of. We also have White Cottage Dorm, which is this small little dorm in the middle of campus that it's very tiny. It's like 7 rooms, but it's very nice. We also have Old Girls, which is this dorm that's connected to the administrative building and the health office. It's a bunch of singles, and it's regularly known as more of a senior boys dorm. However, this year it's being used for quarantine dorm in case people catch corona, which we have only had one case and it's been off campus, so we're going to keep it that way, hopefully. And then there's Heights dorm, which is this little dorm that's connected on top of the KDU, which is our cafeteria. And it's also no, it's not much signal. Sorry, it's 3 rooms and they're spanned from doubles to triples, and it's the smallest dorm, but it's very nice and cozy. And I
Very well
think,
done, Jaden.
oh wait, and there's also Gray House, which is which is I think, Sophie's a 15-minute walk, or a 10.
It can be like a solid 8 or 7. And the fact that you forgot it basically describes Great House, because it's far away and you're always just walking there. You're never actually there, is what I say. But it's the nicest. It's new. It's clean. It has the best view, and it's all like super cool new green insulation stuff going on. So it's mostly solar powered, and it's cool.
Mm-hmm. And it really is a beautiful view. It's like the sun rising over the Connecticut River. It's like not bad.
I'd say it is one of the like best dorms, except for the point that it's so far away.
So this actually segues really nicely. Is there choice to choose where you live, or is it randomly assigned? How does that work? And also roommates. Let's add that in there too. Let's see, Jason.
So with choice, as Jaden said, there are like preconceived sort of like, you will probably be in this dorm because it's like historically been a upperclassmen girls dorm or a lowerclassmen boys dorm. Like I'd say if you're a young boy coming into freshman year and you're filling out, there's a form that goes out. First of all, there's a form so they can know where to put you. And if you're filling out the form and you say, I want to be in a boys dorm and I'm okay with a roommate, you know, and you're probably going to be in keep. I say probably, like 90% you're going to be in keep. But you know, it's sort of like the dorms are getting a little switched around due to COVID. There was like the senior boys are like everywhere now because they used to be like mostly in old girls, but now they can't be in old girls because it's a quarantine dorm. So it's been a little odd this year, but there is some choice when you're a returning student, because if you fill out the dorm, thing and you say, hey, I want to be in the gender neutral dorm, you know, or an all gender dorm, which there's this notion that you have to be transgender or non-gender conforming to be in the all gender dorm. You do not. There's a reason it's an all gender dorm. You can also pick like, this is the dorm that I want to be the all gender dorm. And this year, enough of us picked JR and old boys that it's JR and old boys. May change in the future, may not. But yeah, there's like preconceived stuff, and then there's the wild card, which is the gender neutral dorms.
Nice. And how about roommates? How does roommate selection or assignment go, Miles?
So what happens is you can fill out a roommate name, right? Usually of someone you want to live with. But as a new student, chances are you don't know anyone. So what they'll do is pick someone who they think you'll do well with, by choosing that with stuff from your how you were just like what you applied with, and getting to know you as a person and a student. They'll put someone who is similar to you. And there's also a form you fill out your first year that asks like what kind of music you like, if you like the window open or closed, if you like to go to bed early or late, if you wake up early or late, and all these different questions about like how you live, if you're like clean or if you're a messy person. And they'll use that kind of information to place you with a roommate who fits your lifestyle and you'll live well with. Of course, sometimes it's not the perfect system, and there's always a chance to switch your roommates, and you can talk to your dorm heads about that and your dorm parents about that, and everyone can do their best to have everyone feel comfortable where they're living. So if you and your roommate agree that you're not in the best situation together, you can always switch your roommate. Yeah.
Right. Let's see, Kaya, do you have a question?
I do. My question is, I actually have two questions. My question is, do you have like dorm parties like that are just like in the dorms where you can like just like you just hang out and like have fun in the dorms, or is that doesn't happen?
Yeah, Miles?
I mean, you can visit, there are visiting hours, which happens after dinner until 7:30, that check-in, where you can go into another person's dorm and hang out with them. It also happens during the weekends. And as long as you have the door open, you can be in other people's dorms rooms, except for during COVID. And then there's not really parties in the dorms because the dorms aren't really made as spaces for big parties. Like QSB prom happens and it gets pretty crowded usually. But we usually have classroom parties, so people will like set up lights and stuff in a classroom, take out all the tables and stuff, and there'll be a party in the classroom. And yeah, anyone can set that up as long as they talk with the like tech people about it to get like all the stuff for music and whatnot.
Nice. Did you have a second question, Kaya?
My second question actually got answered during that, so.
Oh, great. Isadora, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you're applying to be a junior, are you definitely going to be with like a returning student or like a new junior as well? Or does that like vary just like from person to person?
Jaden?
So I was actually a new sophomore, so I didn't have my freshman year here at Putney. What usually happens is they'll pair you up with just so whoever fits your bill, like anyone who like fits your personality, as Miles said, with the form. My sophomore year, I ended up with a junior named Wes. He was fun. We got along great. I have friends who have like the incoming new seniors that are rooming with returning seniors. As a new junior, you'll probably room with either a senior or a sophomore, but it can really go anyway. You can even apply for a single and maybe get it.
Mm. Yeah, Jason.
It really varies because I know that like I know two people, like two new juniors, Ev and Lim, who are two new juniors who got put together in the same dorm. And I also know like there's in the gender neutral dorm, there's two instances of returning juniors being with new juniors. So it's like it's totally mixed. And honestly, I think if you wrote down in your application, be like, I want to be with a new, because there's like an option to write down anything you think they should know about you. If you write that down, you'll probably be listened to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
So there's a question here that I can answer pretty quickly. Percentages of Putney students entering as freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. So we admit, or our goal in the admission office is to enroll 45 freshmen and because that's how big the freshman class is. And then we generally admit or enroll about 15, maybe 18 sophomores, and then between 8 and 10 juniors. And then we may admit one, maybe two seniors. To come to Putney just for 1 year is a bit trickier. So we're a little bit more hesitant about that. But there's definitely a cohort of students coming in as sophomores, like Jaden came in as a sophomore. And Jaden, did you feel like you had a cohort of other new sophomores with you when you came to Putney?
Oh, definitely. Like most of my friends now, we were all incoming sophomores. And what happens is you guys first primarily will meeting with each other and just a basic of what is anything, where do I go? And then people will start helping you out, and then you kind of become friends with them, and you just kind of disperse into the Putney, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, Miles.
Also, like going into high school, there's always this idea of you'll be stuck with your grade kind of thing, and like you're not going to really hang out with other grades. That's not really a thing at all. Like you'll hang out with everyone in every grade. It's a small school. You'll probably know everyone, and you'll hang out with a bunch of different people. So really, even if like you hang out with new freshmen because you don't really get to know the new sophomores, there's still going to be new people going in with you, and no matter what, you'll get along with people.
Nice. Let's see. I have a question for you guys. What was the hardest part about transitioning to boarding school? So thinking back to like your first few months at Putney, what was like the thing that you had a hard time with, or you could also take this question as what advice might you offer from your own personal experience? Yeah, Miles?
Personally, I I didn't have a hard time with getting used to living at school. Like I feel like that's what people are mostly scared of, is being like homesick and whatnot. But I'd say a big problem that only noticed like later on was that it's really easy to not do homework and stuff and just hang out with friends because you're with your friends all the time, like basically all day. And being at school is so exhausting, and you'll be doing stuff all day, and then you'll hang out with your friends, and then right when you get to your dorm, I usually just like pass out. I'm done. Like I don't have energy to do work. So it's really, what was hard for me was getting used to finding a time for me and being able to do my own work and finding that time.
And have you figured it out?
Definitely. It changed a little when we changed our schedule for COVID, and it was a little bumpy, but then, yeah, I feel like I've gotten used to it.
Nice. Sophie?
Yeah, I would say similar to that, just finding a way to separate like school and home where you're living is important. If that's important to you, because it can be hard to either get your work done or, more in my case, like stop working. Like I need to like consider my room and not keep doing stuff 24/7 while I'm there. So it's nice to like, I don't know, like talk with your roommate, and maybe you naturally have some like similar like values about how you want your space to be used, but if you don't, like set that up and find time to be alone and go do what you want. And because Putney's busy and there's a lot you have to do, so it's nice to just like cut out time in your schedule if you want to go on a walk, or you know find a way to get away from everyone when you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason?
Two things, because I just saw a question I can answer, but also for all the parents out there, this is something that you're probably like thinking about it, you're like, oh my God, my child isn't gonna know when to do their like wash their bed sheets, and they're not gonna know what to eat. You know, I was one of those kids who didn't know what to eat. I for some reason I knew, like I was like I'm gonna wash my sheets now. I'm gonna do all my laundry. I'm gonna fold my clothes and put them away. But I just like I couldn't figure out, like I just never caught on until like literally second trimester after 3 months of what the sit down times were. Were like there sometimes dinner times change over the week. They're like on certain days they're like you have to be there at 6:15, or it's kind of hard to get served because you're like sitting, you're being served, you're not actually like getting your own food. But other times it's like open from 6:15 onwards, so you can come whenever. um, I just didn't get that for 3 months somehow. And so I was like surviving off junk food for a good 3 months, and then I'm fine. I That hasn't happened in the next 3 years. So it's that you figure it out. You learn from your mistakes. That's it. I think that's an important thing at Putney is you're alone, but you're not alone at all. So you're you're left to your own devices in the places that it matters. Where like where you need to learn how to do things yourself. Because if you've got like someone standing there, like if you've just got a substitute parent at school who's like your advisor, that's not going to help you learn how to, you know, clothe yourself and feed yourself. But if you figure it out yourself, that does. I just saw a comment that was like,
Yeah.
as their required study hall. Kinda. So we've like in COVID times we've had like some classes are too big to have everyone there. Um, so there's like a study hall, a learning warehouse is what we call it, I think. That is like in our main assembly hall, and if you're told that day you're going to be in that place, you can call into your class. But also, some teachers usually do things called work blocks. So there's like one every week, and it's a time you're given in class to do work in class the entire time. So you're just given like an hour to just do your work, preferably for the class you are in at that moment. But if you're all caught up, other work. And if you're a freshman or a new sophomore, for the first trimester, there's this thing called study hours, where you have to be in like the library or your room, um, or like a place, an academic place. You cannot be in the barn petting cows, okay? Like you have to be somewhere where you are, like you should be doing work, even if you're, ultimately it's up to you, if you're going to do your work or not. But it's easier to do your calculus, I guess, if you're in your room with your computer rather than, I don't know, like climbing a tree in the middle of the woods.
Right, right. So that mandatory study hours is sort of in place for a similar reason to what Jason was talking about in regards to feeding himself, is that we want to set students up to manage themselves and learn how to manage themselves. And for something like your homework, because it is school, that needs to be structured a little bit more. But we still want to offer however a student goes about their homework to suit them. So if they study best in their room, great. If they study best in the library, great. If they study best in an empty classroom, great. We also have the CTL, which is the Center for Teaching and Learning, and they offer a supervised study hours. So if you know for yourself that you're only going to actually do your work if there is an adult present, you then get to choose and select to go to the CTL for your supervised study hours. Or parents, you might say to your son or daughter, this is something that you need to do. You need to go to supervised study hours. Or your student's tutor may also make that suggestion. So there's some parameters, and also we really want students like Miles to learn how to balance that, like getting his work done and also like hanging out with his friends and figuring that out for himself so he actually takes ownership of it. Jaden, you didn't get to talk about your advice. So can you share that with us? Or if you wanted to add something else about study hours?
Well, I guess I can do both. I'm weird. I adapted to Putney like within the first day. I got pretty used to it. I guess my only advice, bring something that can like keep you warm through the craziest winter you can expect, as well as just possibly bring some Yeti tracks because it does ice up very fast. In my sophomore year, we had around like 8 different people on crutches. So just, be prepared for very cold winter. Um, when it comes for study hours, there's also, we don't have them this trimester just because of the COVID schedule, but conference block, in which around second period of the day ish, right before your second class, there's this like I think 45-minute long period in which you can go to any teacher you need to go to and discuss with them any issues you're having with either a work or some project, or even like if you're struggling in the class, you can just talk to them. It's also open to go talk to like any teacher in any subject that you need help in, or even if you just have some random question, you can just approach them and ask them it. It's really a time that you can just go and get help. You can also just go to the library and do work there if you don't have any questions. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, conference block is super helpful. Yeah, Miles.
Going to the icy winters, it's very important to get proper winter wear because it gets very iced over, and since we're in a very hilly area, there's a lot of places where if you don't have the proper stuff, you're not going to be able to get to where you need to get. Like if you live in Keep or Noise, those are both very downhill places. There's this time where me and Jaden were going to Model UN, and he was late because he was trying to bring his suitcase up a hill and he couldn't go up the hill because it was too icy.
And then he got some yak tracks and everything was good.
To be fair, I also had to climb that hill in dress shoes, which have no grip, but it's very like, we're joking, but seriously, you got to bundle up. It gets very cold, and we don't have snow days necessarily because you live on campus. So bring winter gear. Snow pants will save you.
Excellent. All right, well, we are just about at 4 o'clock. So here's what I'm hoping. Current students, if you would be so kind to put your email addresses into the chat so any of these prospective students and parents can reach out if they've got questions. And any last questions or statements from anybody? Awesome. Okay, well, I'm so glad that you all joined us this evening, Putney students. Jason, did you have something to add? No? Okay. Thank you so much, current students, for taking time from your winter vacation to come talk about Putney. It truly is awesome to hear your stories and hear what you have to say. And you really are important ambassadors to the school. So thank you. Yeah, Jaden.
I just have one thing to say.
Yeah.
Cooper, your profile picture has been lightening my day this entire time. I love the Michael Jackson reading paper thing. It's wonderful.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And definitely be in touch if you've got questions or comments or want to explore Putney further. Wonderful. See you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. And so